I'm Jennifer Rooks, and this is Maine Calling. Hiking, biking, paddling, outdoor recreation is so much a part of living in Maine. But for some, it is not always easy to participate in these activities. Today, we'll learn what's being done to increase accessibility to outdoor recreation. And this show is part of Maine Calling's series, Ready and Able, Living with a Disability in Maine. We are streaming today's show live on Maine Public's YouTube channel and Maine Calling's Facebook page with an ASL interpreter. Joining me for the hour, Enoch Glidden, adaptive athlete and advocate. He is Chief Accessibility Advocate for Outdoor Access Solutions. Kayla Lee is the director of the Adaptive Outdoor Recreation Center, and Christina Sebastiansky is director and founder of the Veterans Adaptive Sports and Training Program at Pineland Farms. We invite you to join the conversation. Have you encountered places or activities in Maine that are hard to access? What about the opposite? Have you been pleasantly surprised? Would you like to be a part of one of the efforts to make places more accessible? You can send a brief email to talk@mainepublic.org, post a comment on Facebook or Instagram, or give us a call at 1-800-399-3566. Welcome to all of you, and welcome back, Enoch. I want to start with you. Our audience knows you. You've been on the program a couple times. You have been doing this work for a while now, and I know that it was about 5 years ago you started working with Maine Trail Finder, going out on different trails on your wheelchair, and then writing blogs about what you found. In that time, you've consulted with many land trusts and outdoor groups, and I'm wondering, Enoch, how are things changing in that time, in these 5 years? Is Maine a profoundly different place, or do we still have a really long way to go?
I would say that it started a huge movement in the land trust and just outdoor space area, because there's a lot of different projects going on. I think probably 20 trails right now that are probably being at least planned. And then we also have the Maine Trails Bond money coming soon. And I think that's really going to boost the trail and accessibility of outdoor spaces for sure. So it really has become a major movement, and it's been amazing to see over the last 5 years the huge change in the access to the outdoors in Maine.
Has there been resistance, or has there been excitement about changing the way we think about the outdoors?
Um, at first, there was a little bit of resistance because people didn't want to change the way people experience the outdoors, or that people have been used to the harder, more, I like to call it hardcore hiking type trails. But I think people finally realized that there's a lot more people who like leisurely walk through the woods, or want to go out with their family, or the usual example of a family with a stroller, being able to access the outdoors. And so I think people are realizing that these types of trails are actually built for everyone, not just for people with disabilities. And so it's allowing a lot more people to get outdoors and enjoy Maine.
Right. You don't have to be a certain kind of person to get to go onto a trail. And Enoch, I just have to ask you, because I know you recently formed a company. You've been doing this work kind of ad hoc for a long time, getting invited to give inspirational speeches, getting invited to consult with Land Trust, but now you are doing it in a more formal and professional way. Tell us about Outdoor Access Solutions.
Yeah, well, my partner and I, Alex, started the company actually on Valentine's Day this year. And so we're basically doing essentially what I've been doing all along, but just trying to do it in a more targeted way and really be able to help outdoor outdoor businesses even. We work with a kayaking company to help them make their processes more accessible. So we're focusing on more than just trails, and we're focusing on um, outdoor access for everyone in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, well, congratulations to you, Kayla. A lot of Enoch's work, as he said, has been, not all, but a lot of it has been about trails. And Enoch, who has been in a wheelchair his entire life, has a really important perspective. But people who have disabilities have all kinds of disabilities. And I know that at Adaptive Outdoor Recreation Center, you're working with everyone. Tell us about some of the programs and the kind of people who come to you and are participate in these programs and how you make it all work.
Yeah, awesome. At the Adaptive Outdoor Education Center, we are geared towards all abilities and all ages. This week, right now in particular, we have Horizon Summer Camp, which is geared towards school-aged youth who are varying neurodivergencies, varying developmental abilities. And we get to spend 5 days with them, playing, socializing, helping to create friendships. And for a lot of these kids, it's the only summer camp that they're able to come to. Every camper gets a one-to-one support, and that really enables them to be successful here. Outside of that, our programs kind of vary depending on activity, who shows up. We've got to work with Christina, who's here today, in providing opportunities for veterans. Last 2 weeks, we had camps for adults with spinal cord injury up at our campus in Carrabassett. So we love to be a resource for everyone, including the whole family, and just want everyone to be able to participate and experience Maine and how awesome it is.
You said your campus in Carrabassett, you have two campuses, right? Carrabassett and Brunswick, is that right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, our
Okay, and I know it's kind of started in the skiing space, but now isn't rock climbing one of your most popular offerings?
Definitely. We started with our campus up in Carrabassett Valley, which is fully accessible overnight lodging. So anybody with a disability and their family and friends can stay with us. Being in Carrabassett, skiing was a super natural next step, and offering programming at Sugarloaf. And then from there, it's really taken off depending on what people want to do. Enoch actually helped us start our climbing program, which is really awesome to get to be here with him today. And then from there, we do sailing, music, Nordic skiing with Christina and her veterans, all sorts of stuff, ranging from recreation, but also education and arts, because we recognize that getting to the top of the climbing wall might not be everyone's goal, but maybe coming and, doing arts and crafts might fit them really well.
Well, Christina, I'll turn to you. What you do is in the same spirit as what Kayla just described, but your focus is on veterans. Tell us about how your program started and how it's grown to what it is today.
You're having me here. We started in 2012. I'm an Army veteran. I was mostly an athlete. And I saw a need to kind of get veterans together after maybe being deployed or spending many years in the service. And it's really about that camaraderie. And many veterans have injuries since being in the military. And so we adapt for pretty much any and all disabilities. It could be invisible wounds, it could be PTSD or TBIs, or it could be veterans with a stroke or orthopedic issues. So we do year-round activities. We started with cross-country skiing. That was my basically my job in the military, doing biathlon. And we have programming literally every Wednesday, 9 to noon at Pineland Farms. So that's that community. If you're around on a Wednesday morning, there'll be another veteran to welcome you. And
wonderful. Yeah, go on. Go ahead.
So we've just expanded our activities as an archery and cross-country skiing and cycling, and we work with a lot of other organizations like the AOEC. And I met Enoch when we taught him or helped him to cross-country ski up at the AOEC.
I'm interested, Christina, you were talking about some of these challenges being invisible. And I think most of us can picture in our mind's eye some of the equipment, adaptive equipment that maybe we've seen on television or on the internet, a special ski or a special boat or something like that. But what are some of the adaptations for somebody you might be working with who does have post-traumatic stress or has had a stroke? How does that work?
Well, one of our most popular programs lately is cycling. So we'll have veterans, maybe PTSD, that want to kind of give back. They've been maybe isolated. They stay in their house, and they'll be biking along with somebody in a trike, and so they're kind of that buddy for that person. We understand if somebody's having a bad day or maybe their balance is off. So we kind of adapt by being there and knowing what they may have been through.
Hmm. I think, and Enoch, something you and I have talked about before is that it's one thing to provide the space and it's one thing to provide the equipment, but it's something else to provide the, what should I say, the confidence that lets somebody know that, yes, this space is for you and this equipment is for you and you belong here. And that may be the biggest challenge of all, right?
Yeah, it's really about having the right volunteers, the right people, because it's easy to buy the equipment, but it's hard to make those connections and make that community. And really building that community is what adaptive organizations are about, is that having that support for people so that they can try something out and feel safe and confident and supported. And I think that's really what we all bring to the table when we go out with people and help them try something new. It's just that support.
What is your advice to a land trust, say, who comes to you? And I know a lot of land trusts have and say, we want to make this trail more accessible. We want to provide better programming. How should people who are involved in that organization start thinking about the challenge ahead of them?
My main answer to people is just ask the people that you're trying to serve, because they're going to have the answers and they are the experts on them. And so reaching out and getting information, but also doing the little things, just making trails wider or making trails a little smoother, or having rest spots for people. So doing a little thing here and there can end up being a big thing in the end. And so just starting with those little steps, and then working toward the big goal.
Kayla, do you deal with family members, friends, even people themselves who are coming to you who have put themselves, have made assumptions about themselves, who have said, I can't do this. This isn't for me. And how do you overcome this?
Yes, all the time. I think from a lot of people who have never had the opportunity to participate, think that they can't do it. And it's really just the fear of the unknown. It's stepping outside of their routine and their comfort zone. As Enoch and both Christina said, the intentional invitation, like, yes, you can do it. We're here to help you. And this can be a space where you feel like you belong, is huge. For us, a really big resource that we create for all of our programs is called a social story. It shows pictures and words of the experience that they're about to try. Like if they're coming to Sugarloaf, it shows where they're going to park, where they're going to meet us, that when they put on ski boots, they're going to feel heavy and bulky. When we're thinking about populations with sensory sensitivities, the social story can be a really nice resource to sort of ease those anxieties and know what's coming up and what's to be expected.
Christina, do you serve veterans of all ages, or is this mainly younger veterans who are coming to you?
Definitely all ages. The oldest veteran, actually, she was the widow of a World War II veteran at 103 years old. We got her out cross-country skiing. she was a resident at the facility that I was an OT, but we got her out. We have 30-year-olds that, they have that friendship and they don't know where they fit in with the community. We had some Korea War veterans, Vietnam veterans, Afghan and Iraq veterans. So really all ages, and everyone can kind of learn from each other, which is really neat.
We're going to go to a call. AMK is calling in from Scarborough. Hi, AMK. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. My mom is in her 80s, and I just wanted to make a shout out to Maine Adaptive Sports and Recreation, with whom she did her first rock climbing class 2 years ago. And just to make sure that folks who are listening, it's not just about people with significant disabilities. It can just be other able-bodied people. Like my mother has a neurological disorder. So there's a lot of things she can do, but because balance and perception are difficult for her, rock climbing wound up being a very good match for her, because while you're supported in a harness, you don't have to worry about balance, and you get coaching from your climbing partners. And so it was to have her be part of that community where a lot of the people are very much younger than her, but also incredibly supportive, and told her that she was inspiring them when they saw her on the rock climbing wall. And that just opened up so many other opportunities for her to kayak for the first time and to go on a sailboat for the first time. And just as a shout out to the Agency on Aging in Biddeford, recently they had a party there at their facility, and they brought in a portable rock climbing wall for the participants in their day program to try out. So there are a lot of seniors and elders out there who might not have what they consider a disability, but when you have concerns about balance and walking or confidence, there are a lot of outdoor activities you can do with support of all of these programs, and encourage people to look into them.
AMK, I think you're making such an important point, and I know this is something, Enoch, you and I have talked about before, is that many of the people who use the trails that you've worked on are not people who have lived with lifelong disabilities, but as they age are finding themselves less and less likely to go outdoors. And now AMK's mother, who's 87, is taking it to the next step in rock climbing. But you know, I think it's such an important point, Enoch, that, you know, something that's good for one person is good for another person for a different reason.
Yeah, it's amazing to see the wide variety of people that the adaptive organizations serve, because it really is about everyone. I like to say that most of us are pre-disabled, because eventually all of us will have some sort of condition or some sort of moment in our life where we do have some disability or a temporary disability. So really everyone can benefit from the services that adaptive organizations provide, but also the many trails and other things out there that allow people better access.
I think AMK made a point also that relates to something I'm hearing from all of you, which is how your organizations collaborate. She's talking about the area agencies on aging providing a climbing wall for people who are in their day program. And Kayla, this is how you find people who can benefit from your services, right? By working with others.
Definitely. Partnership is a huge thing that we believe in and try to do the most we can. Working with, again, Vast and Enoch through his work, it allows us to be able to serve more people. We don't necessarily want to recreate what already exists, but rather how can we be stronger together to serve more? So we partner with tons of different organizations, businesses throughout Maine to do just that, which is really special.
Christina, and I'm guessing that veterans organizations are your source of potential clients?
Yes and no. I think a couple of years ago, kind of when I really met Enoch, we had worked on an event with the Challenged Athlete Foundation.
Yep.
And so that was at the AOAC. So that was kind of neat. It's really just, again, sharing resources. If we have somebody that's not a veteran, I may suggest them to try out the AOEC or Maine Adaptive. So it's just exactly what Kayla said, sharing resources and helping people get out in the great outdoors.
AMK, thanks so much for calling in. We are going to take a quick break. We're talking about Outdoors for All, which is accessibility for everybody, and what's being done today in Maine to improve outdoor accessibility. If you'd like to join the conversation, call 1-800-399-3566 or send us a brief email, talk@mainepublic.org.
Maine Calling is made possible by listeners who donate and by Maine Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program, inviting you to volunteer and be a voice for long-term care residents across Maine. MaineOmbudsman.org. And University of New England with summer weekday tours of its scenic Biddeford campus. Details at une.edu/visit.
On the next Science Friday, about half of adults have a headache disorder. Why they happen, how best to treat them is a mystery.
It's an invisible disorder. There's no biomarker, there's no tests, there's no scan you can do that will prove that I have this thing.
The Science of Headaches on Science Friday from WNYC Studios.
This afternoon at 2. Maine Public is pleased to be a media sponsor of Bay Chamber Concert Screen Door Festival, now through August 17th. The festival features multiple performances each day at Hammer Hall in Camden and on the Camden Village Green, and Maine Public members are eligible for 15% off tickets. For details on Bay Chamber Concert Screen Door Festival and the Maine Public member discount, please visit mainepublic.org and click on Community.
Welcome back. This is Maine Calling. I'm Jennifer Rooks. We are learning about making outdoor recreation in Maine more accessible. With me, Kayla Lee, who is Director of Adaptive Outdoor Recreation Center, Christina Sebastiansky, Director of the Veterans Adaptive Sports and Training Program with Pineland Farms, and Enoch Glidden, who is an adaptive athlete and Chief Accessibility Advocate for Outdoor Access Solutions. Share your comments and questions. What do you want to know about these organizations? What do you want to share about your experience? Send an email, talk@mainepublic.org, comment on Facebook or Instagram, or give us a call at 1-800-399-3566. And a reminder, today's program is streaming live on Maine Public's YouTube channel and Maine Public's Facebook page with an ASL interpreter. Well, on the line with us now is Nancy Boutet, who is the founder of Special Surfers. Thanks so much for calling us, Nancy.
Well, thank you for covering this topic.
Well, Nancy, I know anybody who got to see Borealis, the TV show a couple years ago, knows about Special Surfers and knows how amazing it is. But for those who haven't seen the program, tell us what it is, how it happens, how many people come, explain everything.
Okay, so we have it's an all volunteer force, and we invite people with any kind of special need to come and try surfing with us at Kennebunk Beach. On our last event in August, we had 125 participants and about 300 volunteers. We take people out. We take kids in wheelchairs or kids on the spectrum, take kids with Down syndrome, any kind of special need, we'll take you out surfing. The kids in wheelchairs, we have specially adapted boards that they're big rubber stand-up paddle boards with race car seats bolted right to them with harnesses in them. And as you can imagine, it's a pretty exciting time for somebody who's used to being on flat surface in predictable circumstances at all times.
One of the underlying themes of today's program is how much everything has grown, how much all of these opportunities have grown. And boy, you're the poster child for that, right, Nancy? When did Special Surfers start, and how large was it?
In 2003, a friend asked me to take 3 kids on the autism Asperger's spectrum out surfing, and we took 3 kids out in 2003, and at our max, we've had 165 kids show up.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. It's a lot. It's kind of it's quite a sight, and it's a lot of cats to put in a bag.
Wow. What do you think is the lasting benefit for people who get to take part in Special Surfers, who get to maybe once or twice a year get out on the water?
There's a huge distance between, say, the kids that arrive in wheelchairs and the kids that are high functioning. I mean, we have kids that come, if you have an exorbitant amount of anxiety, we want you to come down and surf. So we have kids that come down and feel like they've just joined the Cool Club, and they get confidence and they interact a lot more with the community. And then the kids that show up in wheelchairs, they experience an amazing new freedom of mobility that they can't even imagine from a wheelchair.
Well, Nancy, congratulations to you, and thank you for the amazing work that you do. Nancy Boutet, the founder of Special surfers. And Kayla, I saw you smile when Nancy said they feel like they've joined the cool club. And I'm wondering if that's something the young people you work with also experience.
Yes, definitely. I think the greatest thing we get to see are the friendships that come from program. If families and kids can meet at rock climbing, for example, and then we hear that they went to each other's birthday party or, went out for ice cream later, that's the biggest win for us. We want our programs to be a gateway to friendship and socialization, something that everyone deserves to have. And so to hear that Special Surfers can be a place for that is really awesome. A few years ago, we also started an alpine race team. And it's the same exact thing. They get to wear their race jackets out on the hill. They're a team, they cheer for each other. And it's just really beautiful to see. So hearing stories like that definitely makes me smile.
So I'm thinking, as somebody who raised 2 kids and I hear alpine race team, I think, oh boy, that sounds dangerous. Am I the only person who says this, Kayla, or do you have other nervous parents?
Parents are always nervous, and we tell them just look away. Their kid's going to be fine. And when we bring them back, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. I think all sports have inherent risk, and that's part of what makes them fun. And when they bounce back, it's awesome. So, yeah, parents are nervous, but if you ask the people who want to participate, 9 out of 10 times, they're shaking their head yes and can't wait to try.
And Enoch, I can only understand your parents probably spent their, first 25 years of your life scared all the time, right?
Yeah, I definitely had my moments where I scared my parents doing 60 miles an hour in my racing wheelchair down a hill and passing 7 cars. And I was actually on the Maine adaptive race team and crashed my first time on a Black Diamond Trail. And so, yeah, I've had my moments.
Oh my goodness. We'll go to Diana, who's calling from Orr's Island. Hi, Diana. Go ahead. Diana, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm the director of the Onion Foundation, and actually many of your guests today are groups that we support because this is one of the priority areas when we say equitable outdoor access. We really want to include people, and we say people living with disabilities because it's not just the person who might have a disability, but also their friends and families and caretakers, because if something isn't accessible, the whole group won't go. And so we just think it's important to recognize that. And that includes just a huge portion of the population. In fact, what we found is even more in Maine than in many other states. So that's something that is really important to us. The other thing we've learned along the way from some of the groups that you're talking to today is that what's so important is for people to know what to expect and just being very specific. And this is something that Enoch says a lot. Being very specific on your website about what to expect. Some things might be perfect for certain people with certain kinds of disabilities, but not for others. And so that's something that we're always encouraging the groups we support to do.
Diana, thanks so much for calling in. Diana calling from the Onion Foundation. And Christina, when she was talking about how making activities accessible means creating accessibility for an entire family, I'm thinking back to what you said about the veteran whose wife, whose widow was able to come to your organization, that people will not do something if their loved one is not able to do it.
Our organization is mostly for the veteran, but we found that the positive benefits that the veteran gets, maybe being more happy, smiling for the first time, maybe not as being as anxious, it affects the whole family. And I've had family members say that, wow, my spouse hasn't smiled. He slept the whole night. We've had funerals. We've been to funerals lately of some of our beloved Korean War veterans. They said it made the last few years of his life amazing because he was out biking at 92 years old. So it really creates joy for the whole family, knowing that their mental health is kind of taken care of because they're getting outside.
An email here from Maggie. I took a friend to Mount Agamenicus. She was ill from chemo. Being able to drive to the summit of Agamenicus was perfect, inspiring, up in the air. No other place would have given accessibility in this gift to my friend. She passed a few weeks after this beautiful day. And Enoch, this reminds me of what you said at the beginning of the program, that there maybe used to be like a little bit of, I don't know if I should say macho attitude about the outdoors, that you had to sort of earn the ability to see that view. And I think what Maggie's saying is that we all deserve to get to see the beautiful views.
Yeah, when I talk about accessibility in the outdoors, I talk about giving people choices and giving people that specific information like the Onion Foundation talked about, so that they can decide what's accessible to them. And really, everyone deserves that choice to be able to see that summit. And like the Cathedral Edge in North Conway also is one of those places where you can drive up and see an amazing view. And there's a lot of those places, Cadillac Mountain, and so it really is about giving people choices and letting people have that experience.
We'll go to Lee calling from Harpswell. Hi, Lee. Go ahead.
Hello, Jennifer. This is Lee from Harpswell. I listen to your program even when I'm traveling out of state too. I just want to give a shout out to a program called Maine Adaptive Sports. I started out as skiing. It's over 40 years old. The program is fairly, I don't know, it's very widely known or not. There's people from Canada, there's a lady from Italy who travels over every winter, and she's been with the program much longer than me. I've been there for over 10 years.
Do you have favorite activities with Maine Adaptive Sports?
I used to ski until I had a gluteus muscle issue, so I started pickleball. I had done some boating with them. They also do biking, which I hope to start this summer.
And what has it meant to you?
Well, it's given me some opportunity to get to know, be outside, do some more activities and beyond what I do. I enjoy skiing until my leg accident. My wife volunteers there too. So it's a program that's amazing. It's free for anybody who qualifies. Equipment supplied also, bikes, boats, kayaks. They also have a climbing program. They started a few years ago. There's tennis, there's pickleball.
Lee, thank you so much for calling in and sharing your experience. And Enoch, you know Maine Adaptive Sports well, don't you?
Yeah, I actually am on the staff now at Maine Adaptive, but I also was a participant starting in 1993. And so I've been skiing with Maine Adaptive for over 30 years, with some breaks in between, of course. But I would say when we were talking about community, when I started skiing with Maine Adaptive, that's when I really started meeting people like me and seeing that people with disabilities could do a lot of things. I didn't really have those mentors growing up in Northern Maine because I was the only kid who used a wheelchair. So going to an adaptive organization really, it gives you that community and shows you what's possible.
Lee, thank you so much for your call. If you would like to join the conversation, our phone number is 1-800-399-3566. You still have time to send us an email. Our email address, talk@mainepublic.org, or you can find us on social media, Facebook or Instagram. This is Maine Calling. We'll be right back.
You make Maine Calling possible with help from Pine State Elevator, a Maine family-owned company offering service, modernization, and replacement for commercial elevators in Maine and New Hampshire since 1950. And R.M. Davis, locally owned and independent, offering wealth management, trustee, and advisory services. Learn more at rmdavis.com.
I'm Peter O'Dowd. A plan to create fresh drinking water deep underneath the ocean is moving forward in Southern California.
Huge amounts of potential to do good with this. adding more water supply dissolves conflict and it promotes economic prosperity.
A new way to desalinate water next time on Here and Now.
Coming up at noon. Maine Public is a media sponsor of Painting Energy, the Alex Katz Foundation collection at the Portland Museum of Art. Explore the works that help make the PMA a center for the study of modern art, with paintings from major global artists, rising talents, and leading figures with strong ties to Maine. Maine Public members receive a 15% discount on tickets. Painting Energy is on display now through September 14th. For more details, head to mainepublic.org and click on Community.
Welcome back. I'm Jennifer Rooks. You're listening to Maine Calling. Our topic today, outdoor recreation, how to make it more accessible to all people, no matter what their abilities. This show is part of our year-long series, Ready and Able, Living with a Disability in Maine. Our guests are Christina Sebastiansky with the Veteran Adaptive Sports, Enoch Glidden with Outdoor Access Solutions, and Kayla Lee with the Adaptive Outdoor Recreation Center. Give us a call, 1-800-399-3566. Send a brief email to talk@mainepublic.org or post to our Facebook page or Instagram. Calling in now is Jamie Parker, who is Special Projects Director for Portland Trails. Thanks so much for calling in, Jamie.
Hi, Jennifer. Thanks so much for having me.
Tell us about some of the work tell us about some of the work Portland Trails is doing on this accessibility topic.
Yeah, thanks. One of the great things about being in the largest city in Maine is that we have an opportunity to reach a larger and broader spectrum of potential users. So over the last few years, we've really been trying, with the help of Enoch and many others, to bring our trail system up to a level where more people can access the trails. One of our projects that we're working on this summer is to make Jewel Falls, this is one of our most popular destinations, accessible to as many people as possible by doing some of the things that Enoch mentioned, just widening, smoothing out the trail, widening the bridges, putting railings on, adding benches and resting spots along the way. And then the idea that people can get to this iconic destination and, sit there and see the view of the falls and enjoy all the benefits of outdoors that we've all, many others have been able to enjoy, is really amazing and rewarding. It's really exciting work. So I want to thank all the folks on the show today for the great work they're doing all over the state.
Jamie, the name of the organization is Portland Trails, but you're also looking at streets as well. Tell us about the kind of work you're doing there.
Yeah, thanks. In some ways, the streets can be, the way we've designed our streets can be one of the biggest barriers, we think, to getting people out feeling safe and able to get outdoors. So we're working definitely to, link our system as much as we can. Obviously, in the urban environment, there's places where you're going to have to leave the trail, come onto a sidewalk, and maybe cross a busy street. So it's a really important issue for all of us, and certainly for the community that we're talking about today as well. So we're working with municipalities and neighborhood organizations to, slow traffic down in places where, there are people out there trying to, just make outdoor access and trail use a part of their everyday life. Ideally people can, we're trying to get the message out that there are these trails and opportunities right outside your door, and making the streets safer is a big part of that. And, for that and many other reasons.
Well, Jamie, thank you so much for calling in. Jamie Parker, Special Projects Director for Portland Trails. I know, and I'm going to turn back to you, Enoch, that Jamie's looking at Portland and the Portland area and looking at, busy city streets. But generally speaking, transportation is one of the challenges that we haven't talked about yet. It's one thing to have a beautiful trail, but you need to be able to get to it.
Yeah, I always say that transportation and information are the two biggest barriers to most things in Maine, because if you don't know that things exist, you won't go there. But also, if you don't have transportation to get there, you can't get there. And so if you live in the major cities, the transportation is relatively good, but they also don't usually go to the trails. They go to doctor's offices and the grocery store and things like that, but they don't necessarily go to these outdoor spaces. So if we can team up with like elder organizations or adaptive outdoor education center or places that have transportation, then it really can open up the world to a lot of people and be able to get to these places.
And Christina, Jamie mentioned all the benefits of being outdoors, and those are not just physical fitness. There's also mental health benefits. Tell me what we know about that.
Definitely getting outdoors and breathing in the nature and seeing a sunset or a sunrise on trails that you never thought you could go to. It's one of those gifts that keeps on giving, especially in the winter. We found that a lot of folks maybe just don't get outside in the winter. And if we can get them out cross-country skiing or snowshoeing, it opens the whole doors to get through that winter depression that so many people have. And I think it's so important to make it accessible, and knowing that a group's going to be waiting for you in that cold day or that hot day, it kind of is that extra boost you need.
We'll go to Christine, who's calling from South Portland. Hi, Christine. Go ahead.
Hi. How are you?
Wonderful.
Yeah, I was calling in, listening to the program. Always love the program. Great information for folks that are living in Maine and trying to do the Maine experience. I wanted to just do a shout out for Sail Maine organization in Portland. They are a community sailing program that helps all folks have access to the waterfront, which could be a huge barrier for a lot of reasons for people, including those that have disabilities. They were awarded by the U.S. Sailing in 2024 the Roby Pierce Award for the best adaptive sailing program in the country. So to have that here in Maine and available to folks that live in Maine is just amazing. They partner up with the Adaptive Outdoor Education Center with Sail Maine to offer this this program, and it's run on Mondays and Thursdays from June through September. So there's still time for folks to get out, and anybody who's interested in getting out on the water in a sailing program can connect with Sail Maine and get more information about what they have to offer.
Wonderful, Christine. Thank you so much for calling. And Kayla, you're nodding. This is something you've been involved with.
Yes, sailing was one of our first programs with Sail Maine. Well, December will be 10 years of the AOEC, so I think probably 9 years of sailing. And it's hugely popular, as she mentioned, Mondays and every other Thursdays through the summer. And every session, every boat is always totally full. It's a great activity, as we talked about previously, where the whole family can get involved and have a summer in Maine experience, which is really important. And because these sessions have become so busy, we also started working with Portland Schooner Company to offer, again, inclusive sails for families. Christina has a big group coming out next week, which is awesome. And these have just been another way for us to get more people on the water in the summer.
We'll go to David calling from Belfast. Hi, David. Go ahead.
Hi, Jennifer. Hi. We're setting up something called the Penobscot River Paddling Trail, which is a series of campsites on the Penobscot River through which a person can canoe down the river. And my question is, can we potentially make these accessible to people?
Wow, great question. Enoch, I'll turn to you. Campsites on the river.
They've actually already reached out to my company, and we're going to start working with them to make those sites accessible. So I actually did a few up in the Allagash last summer, and we just finished one at Chamberlain Lake. So yes, it's definitely possible, and it's definitely coming.
It seems to me, Enoch, that this might be a game changer. Instead of just going out on instead of your experiencing being something that's a couple hours or an afternoon, an overnight camping experience.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing thing. I actually paddled out on Chamberlain Lake last year and did 6 miles out to a campsite and stayed overnight, and just to prove that we could do it. So it really is an amazing experience, and that we were the only 5 people on the lake, so it was the most quiet, and it was absolutely beautiful.
David, thank you and good luck. Thank you for calling in, and good luck with this project. I'm going to go to an email here from Emery. What types of equipment or partnerships should Maine public schools consider investing in so that disabled and special needs students can access outdoor learning during the school day or physical education class? Public school teachers can apply to the Maine mini grants for outdoor learning from the Maine Environmental Education Association this September to get up to $1,500 to purchase outdoor learning equipment and supplies, like building an accessible trail on school grounds. We'd love for teachers listening in to hear how to use our funding to work with Enoch. So I guess Emery's asking this question again of you, Enoch, though I think probably all three of you could answer it. If you're a school teacher and you want to apply for one of these grants, what might help?
I was going to say Kayla could probably answer that better than I can.
Okay, go ahead, Kayla.
We've worked a lot with Brunswick schools in particular because we have our Brunswick campus. And because of requests like this, we started an adaptive gear library. So we have our own gear library full of different equipment, youth size all the way to adult size. And this allows schools to create accessible opportunities like field trips. Schools have rented the beach chair when they go to the beach. They've rented our off-road wheelchair for Girls on the Run after school program for students. So I think recognizing the cost barrier of adaptive equipment, we wanted to kind of help out by having a gear library. So instead of spending thousands of dollars on a wheelchair, you can rent it from us for $10. So we work a lot within the local schools to help overcome those barriers. And I think figuring out what students want to do is a good place to start, including the people who the gear is going to serve. What games do they want to play? What activities do they feel like they might not be able to do that their peers are doing? Move United also has a really incredible adaptive PE resource and book to help schools become more inclusive.
Move United. Okay, thank you for that. So many great calls coming in. I'll try to get to a couple of them before the end of the program. Going to Natalie in Belfast. Hi, Natalie. Go ahead.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for having me. I just wanted to join this call today and talk about being a participant with a lot of these really great programs here in Maine. Adaptive Outdoor Education Center is one of them. Maine Adaptive is another, as well as Equipped for Living. These programs really are integral in improving my quality of life as a wheelchair user.
Can you give us a sense of what maybe one of the experiences has meant for you?
Absolutely. So recently I had the opportunity to partner with the Adaptive Outdoor Education Center and another local business. Kayla might talk about that, another collaboration coming up here soon. But I had the ability to, for the first time, to experience the thrill of adaptive paddling, sea kayaking on my very own independently, thanks to that collaboration. It gave me the chance to explore Stonington and Deer Isle in a way that I don't think that I would generally be able to if it wasn't for these great community collaborations and projects.
Well, thank you, Natalie. And you should see Kayla grinning ear to ear.
Yay. I'm so glad. I was able to get through today.
Thank you so much. And we'll go now to Megan, who's calling from Brunswick. Hi, Megan. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, my name is Megan. I work with the Maine Educational Center for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. We serve deaf and hard of hearing students all across the state. And it's been great to listen to all the programs that are just making a huge difference here. I've partnered with some mentioned from the AOAC, the Adaptive Outdoor Educational Center. We offered a program for our deaf and hard of hearing students, grades 6 through 12, for an overnight program, and had a fabulous time. Our population has so many barriers with having access to students who are like them, who are deaf and hard of hearing. So I'm so thankful to get a chance to share out about what we're doing.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you for calling in. We're going to go to an email here from Ruth. Ruth writes, Enoch has been a tremendous resource for the Three Rivers Land Trust. We're currently building our second accessible trail at the Sanford Community Forest in Sanford. I'm going to edit here for time, but one thing he mentions is that Three Rivers Land Trust is proud to proud to partner with adults living with cognitive and intellectual disabilities for hands-on volunteer projects. These inclusive opportunities strengthen our community, create connections in nature, and show that everyone has something valuable to contribute to this conversation. We're conservation, and we're so tight on time, Enoch, but I love this. It's not just that other people are volunteering to create opportunities for people with disabilities, but it is people with disabilities who are volunteering to create opportunities for everyone.
Yeah, I like to say if don't just talk about change, but help make the change, and that's really what I try to do is get out and help make the change. And I think we all have something we can do to help change things for the better.
And then also to you, Enoch, there's an email from Sue. Have Enoch tell you about Buck's Ledge Accessible Trail in Greenwood. He is very familiar with it. Putting in a quick plug.
Yeah, we just had an opening for the Buck's Ledge Trail, and the Recon Trails did an amazing job constructing that trail. It's really, really perfect. And if you get a chance to come check it out, you really should. The view from up there is absolutely stunning.
Wonderful. Well, unfortunately, that's our last question for the hour. I so appreciate all of you for joining us. Enoch Glidden, an adaptive athlete and chief accessibility advocate for Outdoor Access Solutions. Kayla Lee is director of Adaptive Outdoor Recreation Center, and Christina Sebastiansky is the founder and director of the Veterans Adaptive Sports and Training Program at Pineland Farms. Today's sound engineer was Sam Tracy. We had help from Nick Godfrey, and thank you to our ASL interpreter, Zachary Hardy with MJ Grant Interpreting. You can watch today's program on Maine Public's YouTube channel. Our theme song was composed by Mike Jandro. Maine Calling is produced by Jonathan Smith and Cindy Hahn. I'm Jennifer Rooks. You have been listening to Maine Calling on Maine Public Radio.